work out.
Hey, huh?
No, just you.
Huh? Focus!
Can I transfer to the class with the cool Vikings?
Has anyone ever tried to train a dragon?
Not gonna hurt you. Yeah! Go, baby!
Ends today.
DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon.
What if the bond between a boy and his dragon was reborn for a whole new generation? The beloved tale of Hiccup and Toothless is soaring back onto the big screen in 2025. But how does this live-action adventure measure up to the legendary animated classic? Today on Hidden Real Fact, we'll dive into a spoiler-free review, uncover behind-the-scenes details, and share fascinating facts you probably didn't know about How to Train Your Dragon 2025. Let's take flight. How to Train Your Dragon is a 2025 American fantasy adventure movie and a live-action version of the 2010 animated film, which was loosely based on the 2003 book by Contatc. It was made by Universal Pictures, DreamWorks Animation, and Mark Platt Productions. The film was written and directed by Dean Dublos, who also co-wrote and directed the animated movies. The cast includes Mason Thames, Nico Parker, Gabriel Howell, Julian Dennison, Bronwyn James, Harry Trevelyan, Peter Serafinowicz, and Nick Frost. Gerard Butler also returns to play Stoic the Vast, the role he voiced in the animated films. Plans for a live-action version of How to Train Your Dragon were first shared in February 2023. Dean Dublos came back to write, direct, and produce, after leading the animated trilogy. John Powell, who created the music for the animated series, also returned to compose the score. Mason Thames and Nico Parker joined the cast in May 2023, and more actors were announced in January 2024. Filming began that same month in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and finished in May. This movie is the first live-action project from DreamWorks Animation. How to Train Your Dragon was first shown at CinemaCon on April 2, 2025, and then released in the United States on June 13 by Universal Pictures. The movie received mostly positive reviews from critics and did very well at the box office, earning $635 million worldwide. It became the fifth highest-grossing movie of 2025, the top-grossing film in the How to Train Your Dragon series, and the second most successful live-action/animated hybrid movie of all time. A sequel, based on the second animated film, is already planned and set to release on June 11, 2027. How to Train Your Dragon began as a 2010 animated film produced by DreamWorks Animation, adapted, loosely, from the children's book series by Contatc. Wikipedia +2 Variety +2 The film proved to be a critical and commercial success, with a budget of about $165 million. It grossed approximately $494.9 million worldwide, and earned acclaim for its animation, storytelling, voice performances, musical score, and emotional depth. Wikipedia +1 It spawned sequels, How to Train Your Dragon 2 in 2014, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World in 2019, as well as short films and television spin-offs. Wikipedia +3 Wikipedia +3 Wikipedia +3 Over time, the franchise became known not just for its thrilling aerial dragon sequences and Viking settings, but also for the emotional bond between the boy Hiccup and his dragon, Toothless, and its themes of friendship, understanding, empathy, and bridging enmities. Because of its success and beloved status, when plans for a live-action adaptation surfaced, expectations were high and scrutiny was inevitable. In 2025, the live-action version of How to Train Your Dragon was released. Dean Dublos, who had co-directed the original animated films, returned and took on writing, directing, and producing duties, insisting on creative control to preserve the heart of the story. Wikipedia +2 Variety +2 Universal Pictures backed the project, Wikipedia +1. The project reportedly had more than $50 million in pre-production costs alone. Wikipedia filming took place partly in Northern Ireland, Belfast, etc. Wikipedia +1. Because the original animated version had a strong identity and loyal fanbase, casting the live-action adaptation carried particular weight. Many fans would want continuity, but also fresh interpretations. Below, we explore how the casting unfolded, key choices and controversies, and how the new cast compares to the original animated cast. Animated version, 2010. Original voice cast. Before examining the live-action casting, it helps to recall who voiced the main characters in the 2010 original film and how their performances shaped the characters' identities. Wikipedia +2. Wikipedia +2. Jay Baruchel as Hiccup. Horrendous Haddock 3. The awkward, inventive teenage Viking who befriends a dragon. Wikipedia +2. Wikipedia +2. Gerard Butler as Stoic the Vast. Hiccup's father, chieftain of Burke. Wikipedia +2. Wikipedia +2. America Ferrera as Astrid Hofferson. A spirited, strong, determined Viking, Hiccup's ally and later love interest. Wikipedia +3. Wikipedia +3. Wikipedia +3. Craig Ferguson as Gabriel the Belcher, the blacksmith and mentor figure in the tribe. Wikipedia +2. Wikipedia +2. Jonah Hill as Snotload Jorgensen. A brash, overconfident member of the dragon training class. Wikipedia +1. Christopher Mintz-Plasse as Fishlegs. Intermine studious, somewhat nervous, knowledgeable about dragons. Wikipedia +1. Kristen Wiig and T.J. Miller as Roughneck and Toughneck, the twin troublemakers in Hiccup's cohort. Wikipedia +1. Randy Tom provides the vocal effects for toothless, that is, non-verbal dragon sounds, in the original. Wikipedia +1. Ashley Jensen as Phlegma the Fierce, a member of the Viking community. Wikipedia +1. These performances left indelible marks on how audiences imagine the characters. Over the years, fans often associate the voices with the personalities and mannerisms of the characters. Thus, the live-action casting had to balance between honoring the original portrayals and offering fresh embodiment. Live-action version, 2025. Casting and roles. The live-action adaptation announced its main cast and stages, starting in 2023 and into 2024. Wikipedia +2. Variety +2. Below is a breakdown of the principal cast and their roles, plus some additional casting notes. Main cast and roles. Mason Thames as Hiccup. In May 2023, Mason Thames was announced as the actor to portray Hiccup in the live-action adaptation. Wikipedia +1. Thames is relatively young and was chosen to capture the youth and vulnerability of Hiccup. Wikipedia +3. Wikipedia +3. Variety +3 reports noted that he undertook months of practice, stunts, and even the detail of acting left-handed, to maintain continuity with how the animated Hiccup was sometimes portrayed. Polygon +1. Nico Parker as Astrid. Also announced in May 2023, Nico Parker was cast to portray Astrid. Wikipedia +1. Parker is a BAFTA-nominated actress for Dumbo, and her casting marked a significant departure from the original voice actress. Rotten Tomatoes +2. Variety +2. Her embodiment of Astrid emphasizes both strength and emotional depth, and her youth aligns with Hiccup's age. Wikipedia +2. Variety +2. Gerard Butler as Stoic the Vast. Gerard Butler reprised his role from the animated films to play Stoic in live-action. IMDb +3. Wikipedia +3. U.com +3. Having lent his voice to the character in the original trilogy, his return is a nod to continuity. U.com +2. Wikipedia +2. Nick Frost as Gobber. In January 2024, Nick Frost was cast to play Gobber the Belch, replacing Craig Ferguson's original voice performance. Wikipedia +2. +2. Frost brings a distinct presence that merges humor and physicality, suitable for the character's mentorship and comic relief. Rotten Tomatoes +2. +2. Gabriel Howell as Snotload. Also announced in January 2024, Gabriel Howell was cast as Snotload. Wikipedia +2. +2. Howell's casting follows the trend of using younger actors who can physically perform action-oriented scenes. Wikipedia +1. Julian Dennison as Fishlegs. Julian Dennison, known for earlier roles in Deadpool 2 and Hunt for the Wilder People, was cast as Fishlegs. Wikipedia +3 Deadline +3 Variety +3 Denison's experience lends him comedic timing and presence. Deadline +1 Bronwyn James as Roughneck and Harry Trevelyan as Toughneck. The twin roles of Roughneck and Toughneck were given to Bronwyn James and Harry Trevelyan, respectively. Wikipedia +2 +2 These actors would be tasked with embodying the chaotic twin dynamic physically, rather than just vocally. IMDb +1 Ruth Codd as Phlegma. In March 2024, Ruth Codd joined the cast to portray Phlegma. Wikipedia +2 +2 Phlegma, a Viking character, has a more minor role compared to the central cast, but Codd's casting adds diversity and depth to the supporting ensemble. Variety +1 Additional casting notes supporting roles beyond the central cast. The film includes a wide ensemble for the Viking village of Berk, extras, stunt performers, and voice or motion capture roles for dragons and creatures. The dragon Toothless, while non-verbal, is a demanding CGI character whose physical motion, expressions, and interaction with actors are central to believability. The actors had to perform with reference rigs, wire rigs, or mechanical dragon simulators. Then the dragon would be added in post-production. For example, Mason Thames revealed that one of his hardest stunts was pretending to be left-handed throughout filming. He is naturally right-handed, in order to maintain continuity with how Hiccup was represented in the original. Polygon He also performed wire work, was dropped and spun, and had to fall repeatedly. Polygon +1 Nico Parker likewise encountered challenges doing a jump across slippery rocks in a forested scene, using wires for safety, and wearing heavy boots modeled after her character's design. Polygon casting in live-action also had to account for physical appearance, age compatibility among the characters, ability to do stunts, chemistry between actors, and even ethnic diversity, a point which sparked both praise and criticism, as discussed later. Casting motivations, comparisons, and challenges. Continuity versus reinvention. One challenge in casting a live-action version of a beloved animated film is balancing fidelity to the original with the flexibility to reinterpret. Some actors, like Butler, were retained in spirit, while others were replaced to reflect new interpretations. Butler's return as Stoic anchors the film in continuity. His characteristic voice and personality link the new version with the animated legacy. U.com +2 +2 New faces for Hiccup and Astrid allow the film to feel fresh. The filmmakers seemed to prioritize emotional resonance and believable performances more than simply mimicking voice tones. Variety +2 Wikipedia +2 Age-appropriate casting. Many of the live-action actors are younger and can more realistically perform physically in stunts and action scenes. Wikipedia +2 Wikipedia +2 Physical embodiment. Unlike voice acting, live-action actors must deliver not just their lines but their physical movements, expressions, interactions with CGI elements, stunts, etc. Ethnicity, representation, and controversy. One of the more debated aspects of the live-action casting is the choice of Nico Parker, a black actress, to play Astrid Hofferson, a character previously portrayed as white in the animated version. Screen Rant +2 Wikipedia +2 Some fans voiced criticism that casting a black Astrid was a divergence from the original, while others supported the move as a more inclusive, updated representation. Screen Rant +1 Proponents argue that fantasy worlds should give room for diversity, especially when not strictly bound to real-world historical ethnicity constraints. Critics argue for loyalty to original designs. This tension reflects broader debates in film adaptation and representation. Proponents point out that Astrid's essence lies not in race but in personality, strength, determination, and her bond with Hiccup. A more diverse cast can resonate with modern audiences and expand the fanbase. The filmmakers appear to have prioritized that Astrid be a fully realized character rather than a token casting. The rest of the cast seems to be more in line with expectations of European, Viking heritage appearances, though fantasy permits flexibility. By casting Bronwyn James and Harry Trevelyan as the twins, for example, The directors opted for actors capable of physicality and comedic energy rather than strict visual mimicry of the animated versions. Physical technical demands. Unlike voice acting, live-action roles demand physical readiness, stunt capability, wire work, fight choreography, and consistent integration with CGI characters. This means casting had to consider more than just acting skill, stunt and wire work. Actors would need to be comfortable with harnesses, falls, flips, and working with partial sets or green screens. Chemistry with CGI. Scenes with dragons require the actor to respond to empty space or placeholders, which demands strong imagination and spatial awareness. Physical fitness and safety. In a fantasy action film, minor injuries or fatigue can adversely affect shooting. The cast likely underwent training regimes. Consistent characterization. For example, Hiccup's left-handedness, as preserved by Thames, is a detail that connects to the animated legacy and requires discipline. These factors raise the bar for live-action casting beyond what voice roles demand. Comparisons. Animated versus live-action character casting. A side-by-side look at some key roles illustrates choices and trade-offs. Hiccup. Jay Baruchel's voice in the animated film gave Hiccup a slightly nervous, introspective tone. Mason Thames, as a live actor, needed to translate that emotional arc in a corporeal form and facial expressions, bodied language, on-screen chemistry and not just voice inflections. Astrid, America Ferrera's voice performance was strong and well-loved, providing a blend of fierceness and warmth. Nico Parker's live portrayal had to match those emotional beats while also being physically convincing in action scenes. Stoic, Butler's classic voice work makes him a fitting bridge between versions. The live-action version can leverage his voice familiarity while adding physical presence in scenes. Gobber, Craig Ferguson's voice brought humor and wisdom. Nick Frost, while a different style, must maintain the mentor, comic relief dynamic live on camera. Snotlout, Fishlegs, Roughneck, Toughneck, these ensemble roles were recast in younger actors capable of delivering humor, action, and interaction with CGI. Particularly for Roughneck, Toughneck, the live-action challenge lies in portraying twins' expressive dynamics. One must keep in mind that the animated performances were recorded in voice booths without visual filming constraints, while the live-action actors must deliver the full performance in physical space. Reception. Box office. The live-action adaptation received generally positive reviews and resonated with audiences while also inciting some criticism. Rotten Tomatoes +2, Wikipedia +2. According to Rotten Tomatoes, the film had a tomatometer score, critics, that was solid, and an audience score much higher, that is, audiences enjoyed it more. Rotten Tomatoes. The critics' consensus suggested that while it may not surpass the original animated film, it still reaches enchanting heights of its own. Rotten Tomatoes. In terms of financial performance, the live-action version grossed around $635 million globally. Wikipedia +1. In India, the opening day alone drew Avatar's 4.88 crore, setting a strong start for the franchise. The Times of India. The theatrical release was June 13, 2025 in the US by Universal Pictures. Wikipedia +1. The film's audience reception, post-track, cinema score, reportedly was quite strong. For example, post-screening surveys showed high recommendation percentages. Wikipedia. Many audience responses highlight the emotional resonance of Hiccup and Toothless's bond, nostalgia for the original, and appreciation for updated visuals and performances. However, some critics pointed out that certain beats from the original felt overly familiar or derivative, suggesting the adaptation sometimes replayed old scenes without fully reinventing them. Some also critiqued pacing or secondary character depth. Still, the casting was generally praised for capturing enough of the original spirit while bringing new energy. Deep dive. Key roles and actor challenges. Mason Thames as Hiccup. Mason Thames had a particularly daunting task of carrying the film as its lead. Hiccup is the emotional center of How to Train Your Dragon. His growth from an insecure outcast to a hero who bridges divides makes or breaks the story. Some specific challenges and decisions he faced. Left-handed performance. Thames revealed that he consciously acted as left-handed, although he is naturally right-handed. to maintain continuity with the animated character. Polygon's subtle choice adds fidelity to the original characterization, but at the cost of extra mental and physical effort. Wire and stunt work. He underwent months of stunt training, physically falling, being dropped, spinning, and otherwise performing action scenes. Polygon +2 Beaumont Enterprise +2. These demands challenge stamina, spatial awareness, safety coordination, and emotional consistency under physical stress. Chemistry with CGI Dragon. Because Toothless is CGI, many interactions had no real physical counterpart. Thames had to react to placeholders or stand-ins, relying on his imagination and timing to make the bond believable. Emotional arc. He needed to show vulnerability, courage, empathy, doubt, and leadership in succession, a wide range over the film's runtime. Balancing internal monologue with outward action is harder in live action than voiceover. Given these demands, Thames's performance was crucial. If audiences did not accept Hiccup, the whole adaptation might falter. Nico Parker as Astrid. Astrid has always been a strong character. She's not just a romantic interest but a peer and warrior in her own right. Parker's casting brought vigor and challenge. Physicality. She had to execute stunts, maintain fight sequences, and do wire-assisted jumps. One specific mention is her jumping over slick rocks in a forested scene, which required safety wires but was still physically difficult. Polygon. Boots and costume. Her boots, modeled after the animated Astrid's look, were heavy, making movement more demanding. Polygon. Acting. By contrast, she needed to match or complement Thames's emotional tone without overpowering or being overshadowed, maintaining agency, strength, and emotional depth. Audience expectations. She had to navigate criticism or praise for portraying Astrid differently, in appearance, from the original while preserving the character's heart. Gerard Butler as Stoic. Butler's return as Stoic brings a weight of legacy. His performance in the animated films was authoritative, robust, and paternal. In the live-action version, he had to convert his vocal presence into full embodiment of walking, performing, interacting, connecting with his son's character in live terrain. His presence serves as a continuity anchor. For fans who remember Stoic's voice, seeing the same actor lends legitimacy. As a veteran actor, Butler's challenge was probably lower than younger cast members in terms of physical stunts, but he still had to guide dramatic scenes and emotional conflicts. Ensemble. Gobber, Snotlout, Fishlegs, Roughnet, Toughnet. These supporting roles are vital for tone, humor, conflict, and depth. Gobber. Nick Frost. As a mentor and comedic foil, Frost needed to balance wisdom and humor in a live-action embodiment. His physical presence, comedic timing, and interaction with other characters are central. Snotlout. Gabriel Howell. This role demands brash energy, competitiveness, comedic timing, and interaction in fight training scenes or group sequences. Fishlegs. Julian Dennison. He must bring geeky charm and knowledge, acting as a grounded voice in the ensemble, without being overshadowed. Roughnet. Toughnet. Bronwyn James. Harry Trevelyan. Twin roles require chemistry, physical comedic timing, and projecting a mischievous, chaotic twin energy, including synchronized action scenes. Phlegma. Ruth Codd. Though a smaller role, the presence of Phlegma adds depth to the Viking community and gives the cast more ensemble texture. Because these roles are ensemble-based, casting had to consider age compatibility, chemistry among actors, and ability to perform in dynamic group and action settings. Controversies, fan reactions, and expectations. As with any high-profile adaptation, casting decisions met both excitement and criticism from the fan community. Casting. Astrid and representation debate. As noted above, Nico Parker's casting as Astrid, a black actress, led to debate among fans. Some lamented divergence from the original animated design, others embraced the decision as inclusive and modern. Screen Rant +2 Wikipedia +2 This debate reflects broader audience expectations for adaptations and how strictly loyal they want remakes to be. Some argued that a fantasy Viking world shouldn't be constrained by historical racial homogeneity, while others felt that strong deviations in appearance might distract. The producers likely weighed whether preserving preserving character icons was more important than opening representation. Ultimately, the filmmakers seem confident that Astrid's essence transcends racial depiction. Expectations of faithfulness versus originality. Because the original film is beloved, fans often expect the live-action version to adhere to key emotional beats and iconic scenes, first meeting with Toothless, flight sequences, conflict resolution, etc. Some critics and viewers have said the live-action sometimes leans too closely on the original, making it feel derivative rather than reimagined. Rotten Tomatoes +1 on the other hand, maintaining recognizable moments can help satisfy nostalgia and continuity. Casting plays a central role here. If actors lean too far from familiar portrayals, fans might resist if they mimic too closely. The adaptation may lack freshness. The pressure of legacy. Casting in such a high-profile adaptation comes with pressure. Every actor's performance is compared against the original, scrutinized in social media, reviews, and fan forums. Mistakes are amplified, but successes can also reshape how characters are perceived. Thus, casting decisions had to consider not only talent but also how well the actor might be received by existing fans. The choice to retain Butler as Stoic is one example of mitigating fan resistance. Casting process timeline. Behind the scenes, the casting unfolded over months. Key milestones and considerations include: May 2023, announcement that Mason Thames and Nico Parker were cast as Hiccup and Astrid, respectively. Wikipedia +2 Variety +2. January 2024, additional casting announcements for supporting roles: Butler reprising Stoic, Frost, Gobber, Dennison, Howell, James, Trivaldwin. Wikipedia +3 Wikipedia +3 Variety +3. March 2024, Ruth Codd joins the cast as Phlegma. Wikipedia +1. Filming began late January 2024 in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and wrapped by May, or within a few months. Wikipedia +2 Wikipedia +2. Post-production, extensive CGI, dragon animation, visual effects, editing, sound and musical scoring to integrate live action with fantasy elements. Casting at each stage likely involved auditions, chemistry tests, especially between Hiccup and Astrid leads, stunt screen tests, camera tests, and discussions about characterization. Because the director, Diblos, insisted on creative control, he likely had strong input in approving cast selections to ensure the film's tone and spirit aligned with his vision. Wikipedia. The casting team would also have to navigate scheduling, actor availability, physical readiness, and budget constraints. Thematic implications of casting. Casting is not just about names and faces, it communicates thematic choices. Inclusivity. Modern values. Choosing a more diverse cast reflects modern norms and can signal that the remake is not simply nostalgia but a reimagining for a broader audience. Character emphasis. Some casting choices hint at how much weight the filmmakers might place on particular characters. A strong Astrid actor suggests that her role may have increased importance. Legacy and continuity. Retaining Butler as Stoic helps maintain continuity across versions and reassures fans that the adaptation respects its origins. Physicality of roles. Younger, athletic actors likely reflect an emphasis on action sequences, stunts, and visual spectacle. Emotional anchors. Casting emotionally expressive actors for Hiccup and Astrid ensures that the core emotional arcs of friendship, loss, identity, reconciliation can land effectively in live action. Key scenes and how casting shapes them. Because casting dictates how scenes play out visually and emotionally, some pivotal scenes are especially influenced. First meeting with Toothless. This iconic moment relies heavily on the actor's ability to express wonder, fear, and empathy toward a creature that does not speak. Thames's performance, body language, and timing must make the audience believe in the instantaneous bond. Costume, lighting, CGI placeholders, and camera direction must all align. If Hiccup's expression is flat or disconnected, the scene fails. Thus, casting an actor capable of such nuance is vital. Aerial flight sequences. Many of the film's signature images involve Hiccup and Toothless flying, diving, swooping. Even though the dragon is CGI, Hiccups' reactions and posture must look natural. The actor must anticipate motion, weight shifts, and optical cues. Poor casting might result in stiff, unconvincing movement. Conflict scenes. Viking vs. Dragon. These scenes demand emotional intensity, fear, aggression, hesitation, sympathy, and confrontation. For example, when Hiccup argues with village leaders or defends dragons, the performance must balance strength and vulnerability. An actor who overplays emotions may seem melodramatic, one who underplays may seem detached. The cast and supporting roles, Gobber, Snotlout, Fishlegs, must also support and counter the lead, making their casting crucial for believable ensemble dynamics. Climactic battles. Rescue scenes during action climax as a rescue, sacrifice, redemption. The physicality of casting shows. Actors must move dynamically, take direction, coordinate with stunts, and maintain emotional continuity. Miscasting here is more obvious, and physical misalignment is less forgiving. For ensemble sequences, for example many Vikings and Dragons, background casting and group blocking depend on each actor's presence and ability to move convincingly in a fantasy world. Risks and rewards of casting strategy. Risks. Fan backlash. Deviating too far from beloved versions may alienate loyal fans. Miscasting. Any major actor underperforming, for example Hiccup, can undermine the film's emotional core. Physical limitations. Actors who cannot convincingly perform stunts or adopt to CGI-based scenes risk seeming disconnected. Chemistry failures. Poor chemistry between leads, Hiccup, Astrid, can weaken romantic or interpersonal arcs. Typecasting or expectation mismatch. If viewers expect a character to look or sound one way and the casting diverges drastically, there may be dissonance. Rewards. Fresh energy. New faces bring renewed interest and new interpretations. Expanded audience. Inclusive casting can attract a broader demographic. Legacy bridging. Retaining key legacy cast, for example Butler, helps satisfy continuity desires. Physical realism. Live actors doing real stunts make fantasy more immersive. Emotional depth. Actors who truly embody the roles can elevate the adaptation beyond mere spectacle. Looking ahead. Sequel potential and casting stability. Given the film's commercial success and positive audience reception, a sequel is already in planning stages, targeted for June 11, 2027. Wikipedia. Assuming the same cast or many returning members, casting stability is vital. Some implications. Retention of leads ensures emotional continuity and allows more character development, for example Hiccup and Astrid's dynamic. Expanding ensemble roles. If the mythology broadens, new characters may be introduced, requiring additional casting. Dragon roles. CG creatures may receive even more expressive motion capture roles that require collaboration between human actors and effects teams. Fan expectations. Fans will hope for consistency in casting and performance quality. Any recasting could be controversial. Because Dean DeBlos remained in control, it's likely he will continue to have significant say in casting direction for sequels, maintaining the adaptation's tone and alignment with fan expectations. Summary of casting roles. Comparison table below is a helpful comparative summary of key roles and casting across animated, 2010, and live-action, 2025, versions. Role 2010 animated voice actor 2025 live-action actor notes. Challenges. Hiccup J. Jill Wikipedia +2 Wikipedia +2 Mason Thames Wikipedia +2 Imp +2 Thames. How to perform stunts. Act left-handed. Maintain emotional depth. Astrid America Ferrer Wikipedia +2 Wikipedia +2 Nico Parker Wikipedia +1 Parker must match strength and nuance. Face representation. Scrutiny. Stoic Gerard Butler Voice Wikipedia +2 Wikipedia +2 Gerard Butler Live action. Wikipedia +2 Imp +2 Retaining voice actor aids continuity. Gobber Craig Ferguson Wikipedia +2 Wikipedia +2 Nick Frost Wikipedia +1 Frost brings physical presence and comedic energy. Snotlout Jonah Hill Wikipedia +1 Gabriel Howell Wikipedia +1 Young actor tasked with dynamic ensemble role. Fishlegs Christopher Mintz Wikipedia +1 Julian Dennison Variety +2 Deadline +2 Dennison brings comedic sensibility. Roughnet, Toughnet Kristen Wiig, T.J. Miller Wikipedia +1 Bronwyn James, Harry Trivald 1 IMDb +2 Variety +2 Must deliver twin synergy physically and expressively Phlegma Ashley Jensen Wikipedia +1 Ruth Cad Wikipedia +2 Variety +2 Minor role but adds community depth. This table helps illustrate how casting shifted from voice actors to fully embodied live-action talent and how each role needed to be reconsidered for physical performance. Final thoughts. Embedded in body. The casting for How to Train Your Dragon's live-action adaptation reflects a careful balance among honoring the original, bringing fresh talent, ensuring physical capability, and navigating representation. Each major actor faced unique challenges of embodying a beloved character in full flesh and motion, often in scenes involving stunts, CGI, and emotional arcs. From retaining Gerard Butler as stoic, to selecting young, expressive actors for Hiccup and Astrid, to assembling a capable ensemble for the supporting roles, the casting team and director aim to deliver a rendition that resonates with longtime fans while attracting new audiences. The decisions made in casting, especially those that spark discussion, underscore how powerful casting is in shaping the reception and impact of a reimagined classic. If you like, I can also provide more on-performance reviews of individual actors, direct comparisons between scenes in the animated and live action, or analysis of how well the casting fulfilled expectations. Do you want me to expand further on those parts? The How to Train Your Dragon franchise began as a series of children's books written by British author Cressida Caldwell, with the first book published in 2003. The novels, totaling 12 main entries, follow the adventures of Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III, a young Viking who must navigate a world where dragons are both pets and threats, often through cleverness rather than brute strength. The books are presented as instructional guides, with titles like How to Be a Pirate and How to Speak Dragonese, blending humor, adventure, and lessons on heroism. Caldwell's inspiration drew from her childhood summers in the Scottish Inner Hebrides, infusing the stories with Viking lore and mythical elements. By 2015, the series had sold over 7 million copies worldwide, spawning audio adaptations narrated by David Tennant and spin-offs such as How to Train Your Viking, 2006, and The Incomplete Book of Dragons, 2014. The transition to film came in 2010 when DreamWorks Animation released the first animated movie, directed by Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders. This adaptation significantly diverged from the books, reimagining Hiccup as an inventive teenager and the village of Berk, where Vikings and dragons are at war. The film's plot centers on Hiccup shooting down a Night Fury dragon, whom he names Toothless, and learning to befriend rather than slay it, ultimately challenging his tribe's traditions. This shift emphasized themes of empathy and coexistence, which resonated globally, grossing over $494 million at the box office against a $165 million budget. The success led to 2 sequels, How to Train Your Dragon 2 in 2014, which explores Hiccup's maturity and reunion with his mother Volca, and How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World in 2019, focusing on separation and legacy as Hiccup leads his people to a new world while Toothless finds love with a light fury. Detailed plot breakdown of the animated trilogy in the first film, How to Train Your Dragon, 2010. The story opens with dragons raiding the Viking village of Berk. Hiccup, voiced by Jay Baruchel, is an awkward inventor dismissed by his father, Stoic the Vast, Gerard Butler. During a raid, Hiccup downs a Night Fury with a homemade bola launcher but can't bring himself to kill the injured creature. Naming it Toothless for its retractable teeth, Hiccup builds a prosthetic tail fin, enabling flight only with his guidance. Through this bond, Hiccup discovers dragons' behaviors, using this knowledge in dragon training class to outshine peers like Astrid, America Ferrera, Snotlout, Jonah Hill, Fishlegs, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, and the twins Roughneck, Kristen Wiig, and Toughneck, T.J. Miller. The climax reveals the dragons are controlled by a massive red death, forcing a battle where Hiccup and Toothless triumph, but Hiccup loses a leg, mirroring Toothless's injury. The film ends with Vikings and dragons living in harmony. Expanding on this, How to Train Your Dragon 2, 2014, jumps 5 years ahead. Hiccup, now 20, explores beyond Berk with Toothless, evading pressure to become chief. They encounter dragon trappers working for Drago Bloodfist, Jimin Hansu, a warlord building a dragon army. Hiccup reunites with his mother Volca, Kate Blanchett, who lives in the dragon sanctuary. Stoic's death in a confrontation with Drago forces Hiccup to lead, culminating in a massive battle where Toothless, under Alpha control, nearly kills Hiccup but breaks free. Hiccup becomes chief, emphasizing growth from outsider to leader. The film grossed $621 million, praised for its emotional depth and animation. The trilogy concludes with How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, 2019. Overcrowded Burg props Hiccup to seek the legendary Hidden World. Toothless meets Light Fury, sparking romance, while Hunter Grimmel the Grizzly, F. Murray Abraham, targets Night Furies. Grimmel captures the Light Fury, leading to a rescue and revelation of the Hidden World. Realizing humans and dragons must separate for safety, Hiccup bids farewell to Toothless, who becomes Dragon King. A flash-forward shows Hiccup and Astrid's family reuniting with Toothless. This installment turned $525 million, lauded for its themes of letting go and maturity, character development and arcs across the series. Hiccup Horrendous Haddock 3 evolves from a misfit inventor to a compassionate leader. In this first film, his arc revolves around self-acceptance, using intellect over strength to bridge worlds. By the sequel, he grapples with identity and loss, particularly Stoic's death, which catapults him into responsibility. In the third, Hiccup learns release, symbolizing growth into adulthood. His relationship with Toothless mirrors this, from dependency to mutual respect and eventual independence. Toothless, the Night Fury, starts as a wild, injured beast but becomes Hiccup's loyal companion, embodying trust and friendship. His alpha status in later films highlights leadership parallels with Hiccup. Astrid Hofferson begins as a competitive warrior, skeptical of Hiccup's methods, but grows to admire his empathy, forming a romantic bond. Her development underscores breaking stereotypes, from rigid Viking ideals to flexible alliance building. Stoic the Vast transforms from a stern chief enforcing tradition to one embracing change, his death in the second film a pivotal emotional beat. Volca, introduced in the sequel, represents untamed freedom, her reunion with Hiccup exploring forgiveness and family. Supporting characters like Gobber, Craig Ferguson, the blacksmith and mentor, provide comic relief while offering wisdom. The teen riders Snotlout, Fishlegs, Roughneck, and Toughnuta evolve from bullies to allies, each gaining depth. Snotlout's bravado hides insecurity, Fishlegs' knowledge proves vital, and the twins' chaos aids in battles. Themes and symbolism in the franchise. Central themes include empathy and understanding across divides. Dragons symbolize misunderstood others, with Vikings representing prejudice. Hiccup's bond with Toothless illustrates breaking cycles of violence through compassion. Disability and adaptation are prominent. Hiccup's prosthetic leg and Toothless's tail fin highlight resilience, drawing parallels to real-world experiences. Masculinity is deconstructed. Hiccup's non-traditional heroism challenges Viking brute force, promoting emotional intelligence. Symbolism abounds. Flight represents freedom and growth, with Hiccup and Toothless's ride symbolizing partnership. The Red Death embodies tyranny, Drago warmongering, and Grimmel extinction fears. The Hidden World signifies utopia, but separation underscores maturity's bittersweet nature. Neurodivergence is subtly explored, with Hiccup's inventiveness and social awkwardness resonating as autistic traits, fostering acceptance. Identity quests recur, as in Hiccup's reluctance to lead, echoing personal journeys. Books versus movies. Key comparisons and differences. The books and films share core elements like Hiccup, Toothless, and Viking dragon dynamics but diverge sharply. In Caldwell's novels, dragons are small, intelligent, and speak Dragonese, serving as pets in a rite of passage. Toothless is a tiny, lazy Kamen or garden dragon, not a majestic Night Fury. Plots involve quests for treasures, curses, and prophecies, with darker tones including slavery, racism, and child abandonment. The books emphasize Hiccup's cleverness in a prophecy-driven narrative, culminating in How to Fight a Dragon's Fury, 2015, where he becomes king. Movies streamline this into a high-fantasy epic, making dragons large, nonverbal mounts in a war setting. Vikings and dragons start as enemies. Unlike the book's subservient relationship, characters differ. Book Astrid is kamikaze. A feisty thief. Movies introduce new villains like Drogo. The films fix the book's issue of underdeveloping dragon agency by giving them personality through animation. While books are comedic and instructional, films add emotional depth and spectacle, appealing to broader audiences. Television series and expanded media. The franchise expanded with TV series Dragons, Riders of Berk, 2012 to 2013, and Dragons, Defenders of Berk, 2013 to 2014, on Cartoon Network. Continue post-first film adventures, with 40 episodes focusing on dragon integration and threats like Alvin the Treacherous. Dragons, Race to the Edge, 2015 to 2018, on Netflix, with 78 episodes, explores new islands and the Dragon Eye artifact, introducing villains like Viggo Grimburn. Spin-offs include Dragons, Rescue Riders, 2019 to 2020, for younger viewers, featuring kid rescuers, and Dragons, The Nine Realms, 2021 to 2023, set 1,300 years later in modern times with new characters discovering dragons. Short films like Legend of the Bone-Knapper Dragon, 2010, and Book of Dragons, 2011, add lore. Video games such as How to Train Your Dragon, 2010, and Dragons, Rise of Berk, 2014, allow dragon training simulations. Live performances include arena shows and theme park attractions at Universal Parks. Production history and behind-the-scenes. DreamWorks acquired rights in 2005, with the Blossom Sanders reworking the script to focus on emotional bonds. John Powell's score, blending Celtic and orchestral elements, became iconic. Animation advancements in sequels improved dragon designs and flight sequences. The 2025 live-action remake, directed by HiddenReelFacts, was studio-driven but aimed for photorealism to heighten stakes. Filming wrapped in 2024, with Powell returning. It's not shot for shot but stays true, with changes like adjusted dragon proportions for realism. The 2025 live-action remake, plot, cast, and differences. The live-action How to Train Your Dragon, 2025, mirrors the animated plot. Dragons raid Berk, Hiccup, Mason Thames, Downs Toothless, befriends him, and uncovers the Red Death's control. Stoic, Gerard Butler, reprising, enrolls Hiccup in training with Astrid, Nico Parker, Snotlout, Gabriel Howell, Fishlegs, Julian Dennison, and the twins, Bronwyn James, Harry Trevelyan. Climax involves battling the Red Death, with Hiccup losing a foot. Cast includes Nick Frost as Gobber, Peter Serafinowicz as Spite Loud, and villagers like Ruth Codd as Phlegma. Differences include richer backstories, full-throttle dragons for menace, and a visceral Berk. Toothless's proportions are altered for scale, and it's not identical to avoid redundancy. Reception, awards, and cultural impact. The trilogy received acclaim. First film 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, sequels 92% and 90%. Awards include Annie Awards for Animation and an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature. Culturally, it promotes anti-prejudice messages, inspiring fan art and theories on X, like Dragon Evolutions or Hiccup's Legacy. Box office totaled over $1.6 billion. Live-action reception praises visuals but questions necessity, with strong performances noted. Fan theories and community discussions on X, fans theorize Toothless's origins, Hiccup's neurodivergence, and crossovers like with House of the Dragon. Discussions highlight emotional scenes in 4DX screenings and character fan art. Some compare box office to other films, noting its enduring popularity. Note: this is a condensed version for response limits. A full 20,000 word article would expand each section with scene-by-scene breakdowns, quotes, and sub-analyses to reach the word count. How to Train Your Dragon, 2025, comprehensive analysis. Production. The production of the 2025 live-action How to Train Your Dragon represents a significant milestone for DreamWorks Animation, marking their first foray into live-action filmmaking and their inaugural remake project. The film is a live-action remake of the 2010 animated film by DreamWorks Animation, which itself was loosely based on the 2003 first novel in the book series by Cressida Cowell. This ambitious undertaking required extensive coordination between multiple production entities to bring the beloved animated world to life in a realistic format. Produced by DreamWorks Animation and Mark Platt Productions, the film represents a collaborative effort between established industry powerhouses. The production team assembled for this project brings together veterans of both animation and live-action filmmaking, creating a unique blend of expertise necessary for translating animated characters and environments into photorealistic settings. The scale and ambition of the production became evident early in the development process, with Forbes reported that Universal Pictures had spent over $50 million on pre-production for the film. This substantial investment underscores the studio's commitment to creating a high-quality adaptation that honors the source material while establishing itself as a worthy standalone film. The significant pre-production budget allocation suggests extensive planning phases involving concept art, storyboarding, location scouting, costume design, creature development, and technical preparation for the complex visual effects that would be required. The production philosophy behind the live-action adaptation centered on maintaining the heart and soul of the original animated film while expanding the scope and realism that live-action allows. This approach required careful consideration of how to translate fantastical elements like dragons and Viking settlements into believable real-world environments. The production team had to balance practical filmmaking techniques with cutting-edge digital effects to create the seamless viewing experience. One of the most significant challenges facing the production was the need to create dragons that would feel both realistic and emotionally engaging. The beloved character of Toothless, in particular, required extensive development to translate from animation to live-action while maintaining the personality and charm that made the character so endearing to audiences worldwide. This involved not only technical considerations for visual effects but also practical considerations for how actors would interact with digital creatures during filming. The production design extended beyond creature creation to encompass the entire world of Berk and its Viking inhabitants. Production was done with heavy use of practical sets and was filmed with the IMAX format in mind. This approach demonstrates the filmmakers' commitment to creating tangible environments that actors could inhabit and audiences could believe in. The emphasis on practical sets rather than relying entirely on digital environments shows a dedication to grounding the fantastical elements in physical reality. The decision to film with IMAX in mind from the beginning of production indicates the studio's confidence in the project's commercial potential and their desire to provide audiences with a premium cinematic experience. This technical approach required specific considerations during filming, including camera selection, lens choices, and framing decisions that would optimize the viewing experience on the largest possible screens. The production timeline faced several challenges and adjustments throughout its development. Initially planned to begin filming in mid-2023, the production schedule had to be significantly revised due to industry-wide labor disputes. These delays, while initially setbacks, ultimately allowed for additional pre-production time that may have contributed to the project's overall quality and preparation. The international scope of the production, with filming taking place in Northern Ireland, brought additional logistical challenges but also opportunities. Belfast's film infrastructure and experienced crew base provided an ideal environment for the large-scale production, while the local landscapes offered authentic backdrops that enhanced the film's visual authenticity. Throughout the production process, the team maintained close collaboration with the creators of the original animated film. Dean Derblos returning to write, direct, and produce after previously spearheading the animated film trilogy ensured continuity of vision and respect for the source material. This creative leadership provided a direct link between the animated and live-action versions, helping to maintain the essence of what made the original film successful. The production also benefited from the return of key creative personnel beyond just the director. John Powell, who also worked on the trilogy, additionally returned to compose the score for the film. This musical continuity would prove essential in maintaining the emotional resonance and thematic coherence between the animated and live-action versions. The complexity of producing a live-action dragon film required coordination between multiple specialized departments, The costume department had to create authentic-looking Viking attire that would be both historically inspired and cinematically effective. The production design team needed to build convincing medieval settlements and structures that would serve both as practical filming locations and as backdrops for a digital enhancement. The casting process represented another crucial aspect of production, requiring actors who could not only embody the beloved animated characters but also bring new dimensions to their roles. The mix of newcomers and established actors created opportunities for both fresh interpretations and experienced performances that could anchor the more fantastical elements of the story. Development and pre-production. The development journey of the live-action How to Train Your Dragon began with a clear vision to bring the beloved animated property to life in a new medium. Plans for a live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon were announced in February 2023. Marking the beginning of an ambitious adaptation project that would challenge the filmmakers to recreate the magic of animation in a realistic setting. The announcement of the project came at a time when live-action adaptations of animated properties were becoming increasingly common in Hollywood. But DreamWorks Animation's decision to remake their own property represented a unique approach to the trend. Rather than selling the rights to another studio, DreamWorks maintained creative control, ensuring that the adaptation would remain true to their original vision while exploring new possibilities offered by live-action filmmaking. Dean DeBlois directing, writing, and producing the film after previously writing and directing the animated entries provided essential continuity between the animated and live-action versions. DeBlois's intimate knowledge of the characters, world, and themes allowed him to approach the adaptation not as an outsider interpreting someone else's work, but as the original creator reimagining his own creation in a new medium. The development process required extensive consultation with the original source material. While the animated films were loosely based on Cressida Cowell's eponymous book series, the live-action adaptation primarily drew from the established animated continuity rather than returning to the books. This decision allowed the film to maintain consistency with the version of the story that audiences were most familiar with while potentially incorporating elements that could only be realized through live-action filmmaking. Pre-production activities began immediately following the project announcement, with multiple departments working simultaneously to prepare for what would be a technically complex production. The visual effects team began early conceptualization work on how to translate the animated dragons into photorealistic creatures that would maintain the personality and appeal of their animated counterparts. This process involved extensive research into dragon mythology, animal behavior, and the specific characteristics that made Toothless and other dragons memorable. The production design team faced the challenge of creating a physical version of Berk and its surrounding environment. The animated films had established a distinctive visual style for the Viking village and its inhabitants, requiring the live-action version to honor this aesthetic while making it believable in a realistic context. This involved research into actual Viking history and culture, combined with the fantastical elements established in the animated films. Costume design represented another significant pre-production challenge. The animated characters wore distinctive outfits that needed to be translated into practical, wearable costumes that would look authentic on screen while maintaining the recognizable silhouettes and color schemes established in the animated versions. This required collaboration between costume designers, the director, and the visual effects team to ensure that practical costumes would work seamlessly with digital environments and creatures. The casting process began early in pre-production, with the filmmakers seeking actors who could embody the essence of the animated characters while bringing their own interpretations to the roles. Mason Thames and Nico Parker had been cast to star as Hiccup and Astrid respectively by May 2023, establishing the central relationship that would drive the emotional core of the film. The decision to cast Thames as Hiccup represented a crucial choice that would define the entire film's approach. Thames, known for his work in The Black Phone, brought both acting experience and a youthful energy that aligned with the character's animated portrayal. Similarly, Parker's casting as Astrid provided an opportunity to explore the character's strength and independence in a live-action context. Gerard Butler was cast to reprise his role as Stoic from the animated films, creating a direct connection between the animated and live-action versions. Butler's return provided continuity for audiences while also bringing his established interpretation of the character to the new medium. This casting choice suggested that the filmmakers wanted to honor the animated films while creating something new. The expanded casting process continued throughout the pre-production period, with Nick Frost, Julian Dennison, Gabriel Howell, Bronwyn James, and Harry Trevelyan joining the cast later that same month, who were cast to play Gobber, Fishlegs, Snotlout, Roughneck and Toughneck, respectively. Each of these casting choices required careful consideration of how to translate animated characters into live-action performances while maintaining the ensemble dynamics that made the original film successful. The musical component of the film received early attention during pre-production. John Powell revealed he was set to compose the film's music, after he previously scored the original film and its sequels. Powell's return ensured musical continuity between the animated and live-action versions, while also providing opportunities to expand and reimagine the established themes in a live-action context. Technical pre-production involved extensive planning for the visual effects that would be required to bring dragons to life on screen. The team had to determine the balance between practical effects and digital effects, deciding which elements could be achieved through puppetry, animatronics, or other practical means, and which would require digital creation. This planning phase was crucial for budget allocation and shooting schedule development. Location scouting represented another major pre-production activity. The team needed to find locations that could convincingly represent the Viking world of Berk while providing practical advantages for filming. Belfast, Northern Ireland was ultimately chosen as the primary filming location, offering both the necessary production infrastructure and landscapes that could convincingly portray the film's setting. The pre-production phase also involved extensive storyboarding and pre-visualization work. Many scenes from the original film were recreated shot for shot in live-action form, notably Hiccup's first encounter with Toothless. This approach required careful planning to determine which moments from the animated film could and should be directly recreated, and which elements would need to be reimagined for the live-action medium. Script development continued throughout pre-production as the team refined the story for its new format. While maintaining the core narrative of the animated film, the live-action version needed to account for the different pacing and storytelling opportunities offered by live-action filmmaking. This involved decisions about dialogue, action sequences, and character development that would work within the new medium while honoring the source material. The budgeting process for such a complex production required careful consideration of all the various elements involved in creating a live-action dragon film. The reported $50 million pre-production budget reflects the extensive planning and preparation required before cameras could begin rolling. This investment covered script development, casting, location preparation, costume and set construction, visual effects planning, and all the other elements necessary to prepare for production. The filming phase of the live-action How to Train Your Dragon began with careful planning and precise execution, designed to capture both the intimate character moments and spectacular dragon sequences that would define the film. Filming began on January 15, 2024, and wrapped on May 16, representing a concentrated 4-month production period that demanded efficiency and coordination across multiple departments. The production timeline had been significantly impacted by external industry factors. Principal photography was originally scheduled to begin in July 2023 in Belfast, Northern Ireland, before it was postponed due to the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike. This delay, while initially challenging, ultimately provided additional preparation time that may have contributed to the production's eventual success. After the strike concluded, screen tests were set for December 2023, with plans to begin production in mid to late January 2024. The choice of Belfast as the primary filming location proved strategic for multiple reasons. Northern Ireland's film industry has developed a strong reputation for supporting large-scale productions, offering experienced crews, competitive costs, and government incentives. The local landscapes provided authentic backdrops that enhanced the film's visual believability, while the established film infrastructure allowed the production to operate efficiently. Bill Pope served as the cinematographer, bringing extensive experience in both practical and effects-heavy filmmaking to the project. Pope's previous work on films like The Matrix trilogy and Baby Driver demonstrated his ability to handle complex action sequences and integrate practical photography with digital effects. His involvement suggested that the film would prioritize visual sophistication and technical excellence. The filming approach emphasized practical elements wherever possible. Production was done with heavy use of practical sets and was filmed with the IMAX format in mind. This commitment to practical filmmaking required the construction of substantial physical sets that could accommodate both intimate character scenes and larger action sequences. The decision to build practical environments rather than relying entirely on digital sets demonstrates the filmmaker's desire to ground the fantastical story elements in physical reality. The IMAX consideration influenced every aspect of the filming process, from camera placement to framing decisions. Shooting with IMAX in mind requires specific technical approaches that maximize the format's visual impact while ensuring that the film remains engaging when viewed in standard formats. This dual consideration demanded additional planning and precision during filming. One of the most significant challenges during filming involved the integration of live actors with digital dragons. Since the dragons would be added digitally in post-production, actors had to perform scenes while imagining their interactions with creatures that weren't physically present. This required extensive preparation and coordination between the actors, director, and visual effects team to ensure that the performances would feel authentic when combined with the digital characters. Many scenes from the original film were recreated shot for shot in live-action form, notably Hiccup's first encounter with Toothless. This approach required careful study of the original animated scenes and precise planning to translate animated camera movements and staging into live-action equivalents. The shot-for-shot recreation demonstrates the filmmaker's commitment to honoring the source material while utilizing the unique possibilities of live-action cinematography. The recreation of iconic scenes presented both opportunities and challenges. While it allowed the film to directly reference beloved moments from the animated version, it also created expectations that the live-action versions would capture the same emotional impact. This required careful attention to performance, timing, and visual composition to ensure that familiar moments felt fresh and impactful in their new form. Filming in Belfast required adaptation to local weather conditions and seasonal changes during the 4-month production period. Northern Ireland's climate provided both challenges and opportunities for the production, with the natural lighting conditions and atmospheric effects potentially enhancing the film's visual mood while requiring flexibility in the shooting schedule. The costume department's work became crucial during filming as actors wore practical Viking-inspired outfits that needed to look authentic while allowing for the physical demands of action sequences. The costumes had to be durable enough for multiple takes and stunt work while maintaining their visual appeal under various lighting conditions and camera angles. The practical set construction enabled the actors to interact with physical environments, which is crucial for performance authenticity. Rather than acting against green screens for every scene, the cast could move through actual Viking village sets, handle real props, and interact with tangible environments. This approach typically results in more natural performances and helps establish the film's believable world. Stunt coordination represented another significant aspect of the filming process. The film required various action sequences involving both ground-based action and the eventual integration with flying dragon sequences. While the dragons themselves would be digital, the human elements of these sequences needed to be filmed with careful consideration for how they would eventually be combined with digital elements. The filming of dragon flight sequences required innovative approaches since the dragons themselves weren't physically present. The production team had to develop methods for filming actors in ways that would convincingly appear to show them riding dragons once the digital creatures were added. This likely involved a combination of practical rigs, green screen work, and carefully planned camera movements. Weather played a role in the filming schedule, with Northern Ireland's variable conditions providing both challenges and opportunities for the production. Natural lighting conditions could enhance the film's visual atmosphere, While unpredictable weather required flexibility in the shooting schedule and backup plans for scenes that required specific conditions, the collaborative nature of filming required constant communication between departments. The visual effects team needed to be present during filming to ensure that the practical photography would integrate seamlessly with digital elements. The costume and makeup departments had to maintain consistency across scenes filmed days or weeks apart, while the props department ensured that all physical elements matched the film's overall aesthetic. Safety considerations were paramount during filming, particularly for scenes that would eventually be combined with digital dragon elements. Even though the dragons weren't physically present during filming, actors had to perform actions that would appear dangerous once the digital creatures were added, requiring careful choreography and safety protocols. The 4-month filming schedule demanded efficiency and precision from all departments. With the complexity of translating an animated film to live action, every day of filming represented significant investment and opportunity. The concentrated schedule required detailed planning and coordination to ensure that all necessary footage was captured within the available time frame. Post-production. The post-production phase of How to Train Your Dragon represents one of the most critical and complex stages of the entire filmmaking process, where the practical footage captured during filming would be transformed into the final cinematic experience featuring photorealistic dragons and enhanced environments. This phase required extensive collaboration between multiple specialized teams working to seamlessly integrate live-action elements with sophisticated digital effects. Framestore will provide the film's visual effects, bringing their extensive experience in creature creation and digital environment work to the project. Framestore's involvement represents a significant advantage for the production, as the company has established itself as one of the industry's leading visual effects studios, with particular expertise in creating realistic digital creatures for films like Fantastic Beasts and Paddington. The selection of Framestore for this project reflects the studio's reputation for creating digital characters that maintain emotional authenticity while achieving photorealistic appearance. This combination of technical excellence and emotional resonance would be crucial for bringing Toothless and the other dragons to life in a way that honors their animated predecessors while establishing them as believable creatures in a live-action context. Christian Mann, serving as the production VFX supervisor, provides experienced leadership for the complex post-production process. Mann's previous work on films including Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and Gravity demonstrates his ability to oversee large-scale visual effects projects that require seamless integration of practical and digital elements. His involvement suggests that the post-production process would maintain high standards for both technical achievement and creative vision. The post-production workflow began with the extensive task of creating digital versions of dragons that would feel both realistic and emotionally engaging. The most significant challenge involved translating Toothless from his animated form into a photorealistic creature that maintained his personality and charm. This process required detailed study of the animated character's movements, expressions, and behavioral patterns to ensure continuity between versions. The creation of Toothless and other dragons involved multiple stages of development, beginning with concept art and sculptural models that established the creature's physical characteristics. The digital artists had to balance realism with the distinctive design elements that made each dragon recognizable from the animated films. This required careful attention to proportions, textures, and movement patterns that would feel natural while maintaining the character's established personalities. The animation of digital dragons required sophisticated understanding of both creature movement and the emotional expressions that make these characters compelling. The animators had to develop new movement systems that would feel realistic while preserving the character traits that audiences connected with in the animated versions. This involved studying real animal movements and behaviors while adapting them to the fictional dragon anatomy. Lighting and rendering of the digital creatures represented another significant challenge during post-production. The dragons needed to appear as if they naturally existed within the filmed environments, requiring careful matching of lighting conditions, shadows, and atmospheric effects. The integration had to be seamless enough that audiences would accept the dragons as real creatures inhabiting the same world as the live actors. The environmental work during post-production involved enhancing and extending the practical sets captured during filming. While the production emphasized practical sets, Many scenes required digital extension to create the full scope of Burke and its surrounding landscapes. This environmental work had to maintain consistency with the practical elements while expanding the world beyond what could be built physically. The integration of live actors with digital dragons required frame-by-frame attention to detail. The actors' performances, captured while interacting with non-existent creatures, had to be enhanced and adjusted to create convincing interactions with the digital characters. This process involved subtle adjustments to eyeline, timing, and physical reactions to ensure that the relationships between human and dragon characters felt authentic. Sound design during post-production played a crucial role in bringing the dragons to life. The digital creatures needed distinctive vocalizations that would match their visual personalities while feeling realistic within the live-action context. This sound work extended beyond the dragons themselves to include the environmental audio that would enhance the film's overall atmosphere and believability. The musical post-production process benefited from John Powell's return to compose the film's music. Powell's familiarity with the musical themes and emotional beats of the animated films allowed him to adapt and expand the established musical language for the live-action format. This continuity helped maintain the emotional connection between the animated and live-action versions while exploring new musical possibilities. The color correction and overall visual polish during post-production required balancing the realistic elements of live-action photography with the fantastical elements of the dragon sequences. The colorists had to create a consistent visual tone that would unify practical and digital elements while maintaining the film's overall aesthetic vision. The editing process during post-production involved not only assembling the narrative from the filmed footage but also incorporating the digital elements in ways that served the story's pacing and emotional beats. The editor had to work with rough versions of visual effects shots while making decisions that would affect the final integration of all elements. Quality control throughout post-production involved continuous review and refinement of all digital elements. The visual effects team conducted multiple review sessions to ensure that every shot met the production standards for both technical achievement and creative vision. This iterative process allowed for adjustments and improvements throughout the post-production timeline. The technical aspects of post-production included preparation for various exhibition formats, including IMAX presentation. The team had to ensure that all visual effects work would maintain its quality and impact when viewed in the large format IMAX environment, requiring specific attention to resolution, detail, and visual composition. The post-production timeline coordinated multiple workflows simultaneously, with different teams working on creature animation, environmental effects, sound design, and musical composition. This parallel workflow required careful project management to ensure that all elements would be completed and integrated successfully within the production schedule. The final stages of post-production involved comprehensive review and approval processes, ensuring that every element of the film met the creative vision established during development and filming. This included final color correction, sound mixing, and quality control checks that would prepare the film for theatrical presentation. Music. The musical component of How to Train Your Dragon represents a crucial element in translating the beloved animated films to live action while maintaining the emotional resonance and thematic coherence that made the original scores so memorable. John Powell revealed he was set to compose the film's music, after he previously scored the original film and its sequels, ensuring continuity between the animated trilogy and its live-action adaptation. Powell's return to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise brings invaluable experience and intimate knowledge of the musical themes that define this world. His previous work on the animated trilogy established musical motifs and emotional themes that became integral to the storytelling, creating memorable melodies that audiences associate with specific characters and moments. The decision to bring Powell back demonstrates the filmmaker's commitment to maintaining the musical DNA that helped make the original film successful. The challenge of adapting animated film music to live action requires careful consideration of how musical themes will interact with realistic performances and environments. While animated films often allow for more stylized musical moments, Live-action adaptations must balance musical expression with naturalistic storytelling. Powell's experience with both animated and live-action scoring provides him with the expertise necessary to navigate this transition successfully. The iconic test drive sequence from the original animated film represents one of the most beloved musical moments in the franchise, combining soaring melodies with the exhilarating experience of flight. Adapting this and similar musical moments for live-action requires consideration of how the music will support realistic dragon flight sequences while maintaining the emotional impact that made the original versions memorable. Character themes established in the animated films provide a foundation for the live-action score while allowing for expansion and reinterpretation. Hiccup's theme, Toothless's musical identity, and the broader Viking cultural musical elements all require adaptation that honors their animated origins while serving the new medium's requirements. This process involves both direct quotation of established themes and creative development that explores new musical possibilities. The orchestration choices for the live-action score likely require different considerations than those used in the animated versions. Live-action filmmaking often demands more subtle musical approaches in certain scenes, while other moments may benefit from enhanced orchestral power that matches the scale of realistic dragon sequences. Powell's challenge involves finding the right balance between musical restraint and dramatic expression. The integration of Celtic and Norse musical influences, which provided cultural authenticity to the animated film's Viking setting, continues to play an important role in the live-action adaptation. These musical elements help establish the cultural identity of Berk's inhabitants while providing melodic and rhythmic foundations that distinguish this world from other fantasy settings. The emotional arc of Hiccup and Toothless's relationship requires musical development that supports both the familiar story beats and any new elements introduced in the live-action version. The musical language of friendship, trust, and understanding between human and dragon must translate effectively to live-action while potentially exploring new emotional territory that the expanded runtime or different storytelling approach might allow. Action sequences in the live-action film require musical approaches that enhance the excitement and danger of dragon encounters while supporting the realistic visual effects. The music must complement the more visceral experience of live-action dragon battles and flight sequences, potentially requiring more intense or dramatic musical treatments than their animated counterparts. The Village of Berk's musical identity requires adaptation that supports the live-action production design and performances while maintaining the cultural authenticity established in the animated films. The music helps establish the time period, cultural background, and community identity that defines the Viking society portrayed in the film. Recording sessions for the live-action score likely involved considerations for how the music would integrate with the complex sound design required for dragon vocalizations and environmental effects. The orchestral recordings must work harmoniously with the digital audio elements while maintaining clarity and emotional impact. The romantic elements of Hiccup and Astrid's relationship require musical development that supports the live-action performances while drawing from the melodic foundations established in the animated films. The musical language of young love must feel authentic within the realistic context while maintaining the charm and innocence that characterized their animated relationship. Thematic development throughout the score reflects the character growth and story progression that defines the How to Train Your Dragon narrative. The release timeline experienced significant adjustments due to external industry factors. It was previously set for release on March 14, 2025, but due to the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike, it was delayed to its current release date of June 13, 2025. This delay, while initially challenging for marketing plans and audience expectations, ultimately positioned the film within the competitive but potentially lucrative summer movie season. The June release date places How to Train Your Dragon within the traditional summer blockbuster window, competing with other major releases while targeting families seeking quality entertainment during school vacation periods. This timing aligns with the film's family-friendly content while attempting to capture the broad audience appeal that made the animated film successful. It will be released theatrically by Universal on June 13, 2025, including engagements in REL 3D, IMAX, 4DX and ScreenX. This comprehensive approach to exhibition formats demonstrates Universal's commitment to maximizing the film's box office potential while providing audiences with multiple viewing experiences that enhance different aspects of the production. The 3D presentation offers audiences an immersive experience that particularly benefits the dragon flight sequences and environmental spectacle that define much of the film's visual appeal. The stereoscopic depth adds dimensionality to the practical sets and digital effects, potentially enhancing the sense of scale and wonder that the story requires. IMAX presentation represents a premium option that showcases the film's technical achievements and visual spectacle on the largest possible screens. Production was done with heavy use of practical sets and was filmed with the IMAX format in mind, ensuring that audiences choosing this format will experience the film as the filmmakers intended, with enhanced image quality and immersive sound design. The 4DX format adds physical motion and environmental effects to the viewing experience, potentially enhancing the sensation of dragon flight and the physical excitement of action sequences. This format appeals to audiences seeking novelty and enhanced sensory engagement with the film's adventurous content. ScreenX technology expands the image beyond the traditional screen boundaries, creating a more immersive visual environment that could particularly benefit the expansive landscapes and aerial sequences featured in the film. This format offers a unique viewing experience that differentiates the film from other entertainment options available to audiences. The marketing campaign leading up to release began with strategic reveals designed to build anticipation while managing audience expectations for the live-action adaptation. The first look at the film was revealed in Empire's 2025 preview on November 15, 2024. Ahead of the release of the first teaser trailer in front of theatrical screenings of Wicked. The decision to release the first teaser trailer alongside Wicked represents strategic counter-programming, as both films target family audiences while offering different types of entertainment experiences. The theatrical trailer release ensures that the intended audience sees the preview in optimal viewing conditions while building awareness among moviegoers already committed to theatrical experiences. The trailer was later released online on November 19, followed by a featurette introducing Dean DeBlo's vision in translating the story to the live-action medium. This comprehensive approach to trailer release maximizes audience reach while providing additional content that addresses potential concerns about the adaptation process. The featurette focusing on DeBlo's vision serves to reassure fans of the animated films that the live-action adaptation maintains respect for the source material while exploring new possibilities offered by the different medium. This educational approach helps audiences understand the creative decisions behind the adaptation. A new look at the film aired during Super Bowl Licks on February 9, 2025. Ahead of the release of the official trailer on February 12, 2025 before being attached to showings of Captain America, Brave New World. The Super Bowl advertising investment demonstrates Universal's commitment to reaching the broadest possible audience with high-impact marketing that showcases the film's spectacle and emotional appeal. The Super Bowl spot represents a significant marketing investment that reflects confidence in the film's commercial potential. The 30-second format, let's face it, we all have that special show or film that we can't help but watch on loop when we're down or there's nothing else better to binge on. One such film that manages to find itself at such a coveted spot is none other than the hit 2010 animated film How to Train Your Dragon. For those who weren't able to catch the film in its first go-around, it was a pivotal release that captivated a generation thanks to its beautiful score, visuals, and message, and is still widely loved to this day. However, if you missed your chance to catch it in theaters the first time, then good news, it's back, this time with a fresh, live-action coat of paint. Directed by Dean DeBlos and with music by John Powell, this film is here to once again unleash some draconic mischief for both the uninitiated and the nostalgic. The story takes place, once again, in Berk, an isolated island far off the world, filled with the hardiest of Vikings imaginable. They are a resilient bunch, and they have to be, as they have been locked in a vicious war against the dragons for generations. Despite their hardened lifestyle, an inquisitive boy who'd rather ask questions first before fighting emerges. Enter Hiccup, played by Mason Thames. He is a scrawny kid who wants nothing more than to be recognized by his father and tribe chieftain, Stoic the Vast, played by Gerard Butler. However, his life begins to change when he befriends Toothless, a night fury dragon. Torn between two worlds, Hiccup struggles to keep his friendship a secret as he simultaneously discovers that the very foundation of Viking society is wrong. But let's be honest, if you've watched the original, then you'd know this story by heart. And why is that? It's because this film is an honest-to-God, beat-for-beat remake of the 2010 original, barring a few differences. One of the key differences between this film compared to the original is that it features an additional 27 minutes to its runtime, expanding on the story a bit, though it does lose a joke or two. There's hardly any change to the original, and why should there be? We can all agree that the original was practically perfect and that messing with it might just enrage the fanbase, something that has been happening way too often as of late. This is a fact that director Dean DeBlos knew well, as he is also one of the co-directors for the original animated film. However, there have been a lot of added details that make the world feel more alive compared to the original. Let's discuss them. First things first, have you ever noticed that, in the animated trilogy, we only see Hiccup's parents? He's hardly the only child in the clan, so what gives? Well, in the remake, we actually see some of the other parents, namely Snotlouts, played by Gabriel Howell, Dad. This adds some needed depth and perhaps justifies why Snotlout was always an in-your-face character in the original. Sure, we see his father in the original as well, but he has actual dialogue and interaction with his very own flesh and blood, which is a nice touch. Furthermore, have you ever wondered why Astrid, played by Nico Parker, had this animosity towards Hiccup in the original film? Sure, our protagonist was bullied by his classmates, but Astrid loathed Hiccup even before the dragon training, something that only worsened until she met Toothless. The remake answers that too by giving her a backstory where she comes from nothing and that she had to fight for recognition, unlike Hiccup, who can mess up and get away with it because he's the son of the chieftain. In its entirety, How to Train Your Dragon, 2025, is an amazing recreation that was only possible through its amazing cast. Right off the bat, Mason Thames does an amazing job of recreating the immature nature of the original Hiccup and his slow but steady transformation into a Viking we'd follow to the ends of the earth. Nico Parker brings a more grounded reinterpretation of Astrid, though it doesn't stray much from the original. She manages to find a way to deviate from simply being a love interest without staining the original. Then there is Butler's Stoic the Vast. You know you're a damn good actor when they have to pull you from the original voice acting cast to the live-action remake. He is an intimidating beast who honors his animated counterpart by going toe-to-toe with dragons in an epic fistfight. Not only that, his acting prowess really shines during the more emotional beats of the story, showing us that there's more to that wall of muscle and beard. But that's not even half of it yet. We were fully immersed thanks to the excellent blending of CGI that makes everything feel natural and real. Partially shot in Northern Ireland, we could feel that each area is alive with every overhead and long shot shown to us. From the practical to the computer-generated sets, there is not a scene that feels out of place, especially when you add in the dragons and the human cast to the mix. Doubly so when it comes to the fight scenes. A major gripe we have with the original was the final fight. It was supposed to be an epic confrontation between Hiccup and Toothless against the Alpha Dragon. Rather than a daring battle in the sky, all we got was the protagonists zipping amongst the clouds, taking potshots whenever they could. In the remake, however, the fight scenes are more visceral and intense, and the fact that we get to see most of it adds to the intensity. However, it is not entirely perfect. Despite the animation team's best efforts, Toothless is a tad goofy, but this is largely due to natural design rather than something that is lost in translation. Though he blends nicely with the human cast, you do notice how jarring it could do when you place him side by side with the rest of the dragons. As for the story, we noticed a few key changes that actually hurt the film. One thing that was sorely missing was Hiccup's epiphany, where our protagonist discovers that dragons are fundamentally different from what they initially assumed. Not only that, in that same scene, he discovers that dragons are not fireproof on the inside. It is a small change, yes, but we cannot deny the snowball-like implications this has at the end of the original film. There are a few gags that we are missing as well, such as Hiccup fainting after freeing Toothless, Hiccup being bound to Toothless for a night following a day of training, and much more. But these are tiny nitpicks, and barring the previously mentioned one, not much of the story is changed. But since almost everything is the same, does it really warrant a live-action remake? That's something only you can decide. Overall, How to Train Your Dragon 2025 plunges us back into the world of Berk in a stunning live-action recreation that is as true to the original as it can be. Though it is a beat-for-beat retelling of the original, it adds a lot of details that further expands the world and its characters in a way that can satisfy both lovers of the classic as well as emerging fans. How to Train Your Dragon will land in theaters on 12th of June, 2025. The review: How to Train Your Dragon 2025. Overall, How to Train Your Dragon 2025 plunges us back into the world of Berk in a stunning live-action recreation that is as true to the original as it can be. Though it is a beat-for-beat retelling of the original, it added a lot of details that further expand the world and its characters that can satisfy both the lovers of the classic as well as emerging fans. Summer movie season has arrived and it brought with it an insane amount of new movie trailers to keep us hyped all summer long. Among the dozen new trailers that dropped earlier this month include trailers for Bumblebee, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, and the next installment in one of my personal favorite series, How to Train Your Dragon. The trailer for How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World definitely evoked all levels of hype, so now felt like the perfect time to revisit an old favorite. How to Train Your Dragon was released in 2010 by DreamWorks Animation, featuring the voices of Jay Baruchel, Gerard Butler, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Craig Ferguson, America Ferrera, Jonah Hill, T.J. Miller, and Kristen Wiig. I, for one, immediately fell in love with the film on first viewing. The animation and score are incredible, and I still find myself welling up with emotion during certain scenes, even after repeat viewings. In the village of Berk, there has been a generations-long war between dragons and Vikings. Our unconventional hero, Hiccup, just doesn't seem to measure up to his father's expectations, and he struggles to follow in his footsteps on the path to becoming a fierce dragon-killing warrior. Of course, it doesn't help that his father is also the village chieftain, who they call Stoic the Vast. As father and son, they are vastly different in size, stature, and demeanor, and it is a clear and present strain in their relationship. Even Stoic admits that his son has always been a broken bar different. Hiccup is a meek and awkward teenager, still trying to find his place in this chaotic Viking world. He works as an apprentice to the blacksmith, Gobber, crafting tools and weapons for the Vikings to use on their dragon-slaying quests, rather than taking part in the action himself. In the midst of another dragon raid, several Vikings are seen yelling at Hiccup to get back inside. However, Hiccup is determined to prove that he is a true Viking. Someone manages to take down the ever-elusive Night Fury by using one of his working inventions. And when he eventually tracks down the dragon, his determination is clear as day. He is going to kill this dragon, cut out its heart, and present it to his father. But as he goes in for the kill and gazes upon this helpless creature, he realizes that he can't go through with it. More importantly, that he doesn't want to. This isn't who he is. So in secret, Hiccup cautiously studies the Night Fury, a breed of dragon that the Vikings consider the unholy offspring of lightning and death. In Berk, they're taught that a dragon will always go for the kill. But Hiccup's interactions with this Night Fury, who he has named Toothless, show another side of these majestic creatures. Hiccup uses this gained knowledge and his innovative skills to fashion a mechanism to help Toothless fly again. It's during these training sessions that Hiccup and Toothless start to gain each other's trust, and develop an unbreakable bond that is the true heart of the film. As Hiccup learns more and more about Toothless and all his traits and behaviors, he also realizes there is a clear solution to ending the war between their kind. If only the Vikings would listen to reason. But in true Viking fashion, The villagers of Berk do not take kindly to Hiccup's unconventional views. His own father feels completely betrayed by his son who has chosen to side with the enemy. We eventually see this conflict come to a head by the end of the film, and it is Hiccup and Toothless' journey from zero to hero that make How to Train Your Dragon such an inspiring film. Hiccup and Toothless save each other, and they in turn save their own kind. How to Train Your Dragon has a pretty secure spot on my list of top 10 favorite movies, and it's definitely my favorite animated movie from the past decade. How to Train Your Dragon 2 expands on this world of dragons and further explores the relationships between Hiccup and Toothless, and is equally full of action, adventure, humor, and heartfelt moments. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is set to release March 1, 2019 and will be the conclusion to this epic trilogy. In a recent Reddit AMA with the film's director, Dean DeBlue said, "It was very deliberate that each installment of Hiccup's growth features a rite of passage. The first movie was about learning to accept yourself, in spite of your weaknesses. The second movie was about the transition of youthful abandon to adulthood. The third movie focuses on it's about finding the courage to let go. That in itself is a universal rite of passage, whether they are faced with letting go of insecurities, or those who follow their destiny. As heartbreaking as it is to know that the hidden world will be the final chapter in this world that I adore, I have complete faith that the film's creators will deliver a worthy finale and give Hiccup and Toothless the send-off they deserve." Have you seen How to Train Your Dragon? What did you think? If you're considering picking up a copy of How to Train Your Dragon, shop our Amazon affiliate link here. I'm a visual artist plus geek of all trades. I'm a Virgo, INFJ, and Ravenclaw who loves film, comics, and video games. I live a quiet life, but what I truly desire is adventure. I don't want to see the world, I want to see the universe. Give or take 101 Dalmatians in the 90s Jungle Book, Disney has been capitalizing on live-action remakes of their films since Alice in Wonderland made $1 billion back in 2010. Just from an economic standpoint, it's not hard to see why DreamWorks wouldn't do the same with some of the films in their library. Fittingly, 2010's How to Train Your Dragon is the first attempt to replicate similar business. Now, looking at the range and quality of these past remakes, which essentially amounts to from decent to dear, one should wonder if having this fantasy adventure helmed by one of its original writers, co-directors could make a difference. As it stands, while technically impressive, this live-action take feels as though it's good without being quite good. Just like the original, this film is set in the past on the rugged Isle of Berk. Vikings and dragons have been enemies for generations. Hiccup Horrendous Haddock 3, Mason Thames, would love nothing more than to be a young warrior whom his dad, Stoic the Vast, a returning Gerard Butler, can approve of. And yet, Hiccup's natural ambitions and smaller size make him stand apart. Things take a turn when, during a particular outing, Hiccup finds himself helping and befriending a feared Night Fury dragon, who he names Toothless. The bond that forms between the two reveals that these dragons may not be the villainous beasts the Vikings think they are, which means Hiccup will have a lot of explaining to do if anyone else is going to believe him. See also, review, Guy Ritchie's Aladdin sits somewhere between Street Rat and Prince. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to lay out a lot of thoughts regarding why this movie almost feels like a cheat, and it's going to join a large swath of reviews that speak to how well it replicates the original and weigh in on how much they mind that it doesn't have anything new to offer. The movie is then going to open, receiving rapturous applause from the many crowds of people who intend to see the film. That process will repeat itself many times over, and the movie will go on to earn hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even the elusive AB number if the world goes that crazy over it. Now, the question is whether I should continue detailing my thoughts further. It's not often that I feel it makes sense to be this self-aware about the review process, but given how critic-proof an event film like this is, what's the harm? Surely, that must be what director Dean DeBlue feels as well, having also directed the two animated sequels, which brought a certain level of finality to Hiccup and Toothless. Revisiting the same story, themes, and ideas must have felt like a way to hold on to his admiration for the series without taking drastic action in a different direction. Naturally, The usual justification, for those not just looking at the obvious dollar on the table, comes down to seeing these films as a way to introduce a new generation to a different version, which could lead them back to exploring the original in due time. Now, and pointing out what I have already about the inevitability of this film's popularity, it should also be clear that there's nothing wrong with liking this movie, especially this movie, because of how much care and craft seems to have gone into it. Sure, I can nitpick certain things regarding the production. Most of the kids are not kids and do not look like kids either. Still, given that this is a near shot-for-shot remake of a rousing, lively, animated adventure that involves dragons, the film would have had to really drop the ball hard to not at least be effective in some regard. So, the real question then becomes whether Dublos was able to reveal something new when revisiting this property. The answer to that speaks to why I can't say I like this film any more than other recent decent at best live-action remakes. I like some of the Disney remakes more than others because they at least dare to ask new questions or take a different perspective on specific plot points or character elements, allowing a more interesting angle to emerge. How to Train Your Dragon is so against doing anything that strays away from the original that I do not find it to be much better than the average set of Disney remakes, and that primarily comes down to just how strong the technical work is, enough to have me look past the relatively flat visuals when things aren't dragon-related. The key moments, subtextual value, and other significant themes remain present. How to Train Your Dragon knew well enough not to mess with any of what worked in the original film. That said, for all the strength the movie like this gains from feeling like one of the more heroic coming-out parables I could think of, there are other sequences that honestly feel like I'm watching an artist trace over their own work. The entire scene of Hiccup meeting Toothless looks excellent, but what is the gain of making a slavish recreation of what we already saw in an animated film less than 20 years old? The action is, no doubt, impressive thanks to the camera work by DP extraordinaire Bill Pope. Still, there's nothing new to take away from how the different beats play out. Visual effects have certainly advanced far enough for this to feel impressive, given the accomplishment of blending realistic enough-looking dragons with live-action people. However, what if I also didn't truly believe in all the people? For all the effort coming in from the cast, it's hard not to think about why a cartoon can make these personalities and designs register properly while the live-action alternative makes the wigs, bodysuits, and more stand out. It is a solid enough cast, though Thames is, frankly, just not enough of a dweeb for me to buy into this version of Hiccup as effectively, but locking into all of this as anything more than a really expensive version of people playing dress-up is bound to be something I'm burdened with accepting. It's all certainly not for lack of trying. I don't need to see the scales in terms of how much of this came from potential monetary success and what was driven by artistic integrity. As it stands, there is a movie here that is designed to please audiences, and Dublos did not phone it in. A lot of effort went into recreating something as best it could, and I'm sure many will happily go along with it. I was impressed by many of the technical feats achieved. Still, with no real effort made to explore new angles, it's hard not to feel that this was a fairly toothless endeavor. Still, John Powell's score remains quite rousing, so at least it didn't feel too bad when taking flight. How to Train Your Dragon opens in theaters and IMAX on June 13, 2025.